so much. Tony Dickinson, guitar, bass, and keyboards. Travis Melberg on the drums. Max Noel on the bass. Connor Engstrom on lead guitar. Of course, my name is Frank Levhacki. It's been an honor to perform for everybody here tonight. Thank you all for coming out to support this. I thank everybody at MagFest for having me. Brandon, Aaron, Rafe, everybody that I've interacted with. Steph, so many people that have just been amazing and accommodating. And man, this is awesome. We are going to all go to the Rock Island over here after the show and sign and meet and greet and do anything you guys want for the rest of the night. I don't care. I'll stay up all damn night. I mean, that's a pretty awesome song to end with. That was gonna be our last song. But I don't know, you guys have been super awesome, and I feel like there's a couple more of these songs in the mix that deserve to be played. What do you think? You got it. last good nights from myself and the Tiberian Sons. Come hang out with us at Rock Island afterwards. We'd love to talk to every one of you. Good night.
dreams, they start before the night. We sleep to bring them light. The stories paint the mind. And peace is such an impossible fight. The soldier dressed in white would guide us through the night. And as your soul it may seem drained, a hero smiles so cold and sane. He beat the odds, he made the left into the right. He pushed me to become this man I am tonight. 'Cause I'm free to live and love my life. I can do anything possible. I can see through the night. You made me believe. You made the wrong alright. You made anything possible. Now I'm lost tonight. Well, I'm lost tonight. Tears, they wash away the pain, the sadness in my brain. I hide them through the fight. And please forgive me if they fall. I cannot stop them all. The human factors fly. I'll beat the odds, love me strong and make it right. 'Cause I'm free to live and love my life. I can do anything possible. I can see through the night. You made me believe. You made the wrong alright. You made anything possible. Now I'm lost tonight. Well, I'm lost tonight. I see an angel high above me. He sees the world and
All right, what's up, everybody? Tony Dickinson here again. This is another episode of Tony Mixinson. The first episode I did of Tony Mixinson was when I was doing Punchfest 24, and I forgot to enable the the automatic like Twitch save feature on it. But I thought, like, hey, I should just cast to YouTube anyway. That song on the countdown was "Lost Tonight" by good old Chris Caffrey, who I play with in Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And it's fun fact, it was a tribute written to the late Paul O'Neill. And Paul O'Neill was the founder of Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and so Chris wrote that song in tribute to Paul after his passing in 2017, and I played a few tracks on Chris's solo album, which he released in 2018. Good old 80s rock vintage vibe here. So, all right, guys. So, because I have pretty much like all my gigs are canceled for the rest of the year, I'm just gonna occupy my time by going back over my. Oh yeah, Tony said, yeah, I have my Streamlabs window open. Connor's here. Connor is the other guitar player in Tiberian Sons. All right, we got my buddy Brian's here. Mr. Tame is here. Excellent. We got some people on YouTube just hanging out. I know it's probably a small group today, and I know not a lot of people probably want to check out some of the music production stuff, but I'm just going to do this anyway, and if you guys want to hang out and ask me questions and just have some fun, and, you know, we're all probably pretty bored. We all got nothing to do. So, all right, so I was actually planning on doing this even before the quarantine, is basically going back and redoing a bunch of my old remixes because of, like, you know, like 2020 being hindsight and shit like that. So basically I'm always looking for like an excuse to go back and like revisit all my old remixes and just redo them. The last time I redid most of these, or particularly this remix, was in 2010. So it's been 10 years. Holy crap. Amateur Superfan asks, who's my favorite comedian? Don't know if that's relevant, but it would probably have to be John Mulaney at this moment. I'm a John Mulaney fan. Anyway, so remix-wise, this is the James Bond and Flying Battery mashup I did. It was one of the first remixes I did when I entered in DoD. And this was like back in like 2008, like a long time ago. And I actually redid it back in 2010 when I did a compilation of my DoD tracks up till that point. And now it's 10 years later, and I'm just going to redo it again because I'm bored. So hang out with me, and feel free. And I want this to be useful to you guys, so if you guys have any questions about music production or what I'm doing, please feel free. So got a couple questions coming in here. Hey, man, I remember your cover of Dark Eternal Night from years ago. Still the best cover of that song on YouTube. Ever thought about remaking it? I kind of did that, actually. If you are not familiar, I've been doing a weekly bass covers series called Stream Theater, and I do have that video on my YouTube of me playing that one live on Stream Theater. It's on my YouTube. It's unlisted right now. I could probably release it, but I did Dark Eternal Night. I am planning on, because I released the Glass Prison like with tablature on screen, I'm probably going to go back and redo some of those very old videos again, like kind of redo them and put tabs on screens just so they look a little bit better. I have like DSLR cameras and crap like that. Anyway, so this song is actually the old Cubase project, but that I did, you know, like 10 or 12 years ago or whatever, of that mashup of Flying Battery and 007. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm basically just going to be remaking it for you guys right now, and I'm going to be retracking guitars. The thing is, I have a guitar with me. I'm going to do that first before I do bass. The thing about, I normally, with a remix that's like just like a metal band, not just like the symphonic stuff like Tiberian Sons, I take that back. No, I do quad tracking on most of my metal. I do quad tracking on most of my metal remixes. But that's probably going to be a little boring for you guys, so I'm probably just going to do double tracking for this point. And so I can get through the song a little bit faster, and then I'll just go back and do the other like track 3 and 4 when I'm done here. But let's go ahead and check it out. I've actually already gone through and updated the drum set. So the drum set I'm using is the same drum set I used in like the full mast Zelda remix I released on DoD last month. Tweaked a little bit. It's a little bit roomier, a little bigger sounding since we don't have orchestra on this. But most of these are the old tracks from 10 years ago, so I want you to keep that in mind. All right, so let's check out what we got here. Quote from GoldenEye 007, the movie.
For England, James?
Stand by, we're all way out of balance here. Let me just get these. These are the old guitars from 10 years ago. And there's the old bass. I should probably turn all these on. All right, so yeah, pretty much it's your normal run-of-the-mill heavy metal game remix. So once again, the only thing that's actually new in what you just heard were the drums. I just copied over the drums from Full Mast, which was a Wind Waker Zelda remix that I did last March for DoD. So everything else was done like 10 years ago. So I'm going to improve on pretty much all those sounds. I'm not really going to like remake the song. Like I'm not going to rearrange it and like rewrite everything because I'm not going to have enough time to do that. But I am going to retrack stuff because I have better guitar tones, I have better bass tones, better synths, etc. And so that's just what I'm going to do. So you can tell, so here's the difference. Here are the old drums, just to give you an idea. Contrast with the new drums. I think it'll sound a lot better. Compression settings are a little weird from 10 years ago, but I picked up some tricks along the way. Check out some of these comments. William says, that slap bass sound is 100% recognizable as yours. Or I've listened to Vanilla Funk Sunday way too much. Yeah, that's kind of funny. This, since this was done way back in the day, this being a 10-year-old remix, that was done on my Ibanez, the SR506. And now that I have the Muckleroy 6-string, it's going to be a lot better once I actually get to tracking the bass on this. But before I track the bass, I got to track the guitar. And so I have a tone. Oh, I'm muted right now. This is the tone I've been using for most of my remixes this year, so I want to keep that consistent. This is a Schecter 7-string I got years ago, and I gotta make sure we're in tune here before I begin. But probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to find one riff that I'm going to quad track so I have my distortion settings set up right, and then I'm going to go back after we're done and I'll do quad tracking for the rest of the riffs. But once I get it dialed in, I'm just going to stick with 2 guitars so that I move faster on through the song and you guys don't get too bored. But so let's see. All right, I really like this riff, so I'm just going to do it right here. And then you guys are going to be witnessing me trying to remember all these riffs 10 years later. It's a little bit of an exaggeration because I actually did screw around with this at the beginning of the year, so I have kind of like the old, but it's not the same guitar tone. But I did kind of relearn the riffs anyway. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to record this riff, wherever it went. All right, with this new tone, make sure my drive settings are set up. Because when you're quad tracking, the more guitars that you're going to put on top of each other, you got to take the gain down. Because gain is definitely like an additive function. If you recorded like 8 guitars on top of each other, you should have even less gain than 4 guitars. And if you're just doing 2 guitars, you can probably be a little gain heavy. Probably wouldn't be an issue. All right, here we go. do that 3 more times, and we're going to check, see how the gain's feeling on this riff. The entire time I did not even notice that I was not recording on that track. Jesus, okay. All right, that is very dumb of me. Let me fix that. Okay, let me just make sure that's right now. Oh, that's wrong input. God damn it. Failing. Here we go. Cool. There we go. I was going to do that much of the riff if we're just testing out the gain. So, I think that'll probably do it. I think that'll do it for me. I think that's probably gonna be all right for what we're doing here. So just stick with that. Go back and let's start recording right from the beginning. I'll just do. Here's how you do a nice guitar swell. You gotta record it, just hanging out for a few measures, and then you reverse it, and then do the fade in there. So I'm gonna do just all 4 of those here, and then I'll move on. Start earlier. See, because if you faded in there, it loses its gain because the guitar is just losing sustain. So if you faded it in like that, it wouldn't sound as cool. So you'll see, I'll show you the difference when we do it the other way. And the last one. That was weird. Did that come through on the guitar? Shit. Ugh. That's not a good thing, actually. It's a weird glitch there. I think it tends to do this when I'm doing streaming, so might have to redo some things if we get some glitches in these guitar tracks. Anyway. All right, so for these fades, if you just faded them in like this, oop. there's no power, right? You're losing the gain there. So I'm going to reverse these instead. So you're actually getting more gain as it goes on. Then
For England, James.
sounds better. It's also brighter as it does the reverse. I don't think it's the CPU. I think it's actually my motherboard. I'm probably gonna need to RMA it because I've been having a lot of trouble with it. There's a dead USB port. I think my Thunderbolt ports no longer work. It's just a shit show. It's an absolute shit show. But we're gonna keep on trucking. Hopefully, it won't be too bad. All right, so let's move on to the next riff, and we're gonna just go on double tracking these. But I'm gonna have to listen because I can't remember what it is. All right. Not the best, but it's nice to have one to play with when you're doing double tracking. So I'll probably go back and redo that one. All right, let's do the first one again. All right. That felt pretty good. The other advantage about doing quad tracking is 4 guitars also masks your tiny little fuck ups versus 2 masks fewer. All right, next riff. That was okay. Probably do that one too. You definitely get warmed up into some of these riffs. Glacier 9, good old Matthew Herdine, asks me, I've never understood the exact method for quad tracking. Does it just end up coursing things? No. If you're doing like 4 separate guitars, it generally shouldn't. If you were If you're robotically perfect with yourself, it might. But when you have 4 different performances on top of each other, it just makes it sound thicker. But again, like when you're doing distorted guitars, if it's like again, gain on guitar is an additive. Like if you have 2 guitars with a bunch of gain, one that's left and right, might sound fine by itself. But if you did the same same amount of gain on 4 guitars, it's going to sound too overdriven. So you might actually have to take down the gain amount when you quad track it. But again, I don't always do quad tracking. It just makes it sound thicker. It just has a different quality than like double tracking guitars with more gain. It just has a different quality. But sometimes it's like if you need like really if you need to be really precise and you got like a lot of technical stuff that you need to be really tight, you're probably better off doing double tracking. Like Symphony X, those are just double track guitars, but they're just really really loud and got a lot of gain on them. So it's fine, it works. But like Nevermore is totally like quad tracked, and there's a sizable amount of gain on Jeff Loomis's guitars on those albums. Yeah. Whatever you want to do, whatever you feel like. So I don't know if any of you think it's like totally lame that I'm doing it one riff at a time, but I don't care. It's gonna be one of those instances where it's like I don't have enough time to rehearse these. I'm just gonna learn the riffs enough to be able to record them and then forget about them again. Adonis 3087 says, "Bro, Bonds Batteries is a genius mashup." Well, thank you, Adonis. I think you will appreciate the version that I'm doing here when I'm done with it. But thank you. I appreciate the compliment. Now I have to listen to the next riff because I can't remember. Okay, that's right. All these riffs are coming back to me. The second part of this changes a little bit, so I might have to just start there. Yeah, stop there. Let's do the first half there. What did I do there? I see. All right. This might take a couple tries. Sometimes you just gotta take your volume knob down just a little bit to get it a little tighter. All right. okay. All right, we're trucking along here. A couple more questions. William asks, "Why put in the extra effort if it's unneeded?" It's kind of like it's kind of like a musician's pride sort of debate. Like, you know, if you can't play your song all the way through, then like, what's the point? And yeah, I kind of agree with that. But like when I'm doing something like this, a lot of times it's just all about the speed and efficiency of getting something done. And I always just try to make sure that when I'm writing these riffs that I'm not doing anything like physically impossible, that if I wanted to learn it start to finish, it's totally possible. So, but you know, frankly, like ever since digital music, all bands have been doing it riff to riff, recording their stuff. And it's more important, especially when you're doing like double and quadruple tracking, that if you went from start to finish on each song, on the song, like 4 times, you're probably not going to get it very tight. So it makes a little bit more sense to make each riff tight enough, right? So like hopping riff to riff. I mean, some people go like absolutely crazy with it and like punch in like every 4 notes. And I tend to not do that unless I'm like in a really, really tight bind and I just got to get something done. Or maybe I'm too tired, right? I'm just like, ugh, I got to get this finished. I'm too tired. I'm not playing as accurately. Maybe I'll just punch in like every beat or something like that. I mean, I tend to not go that extreme, but it might be like, you might see me do like a couple 1 measure punch-ins. Matt says, Tony wouldn't last a minute in the Heart Project. He's too honest about what he's playing and not playing. I was like, that's you know, I prefer to live an honest life. I think it's served me pretty well so far. So, Brian PSO, these are 2 of my favorite games of all time. I don't even understand anything about music production. I'm actually enjoying quite a bit. Well, thank you, Brian. I'm really glad that I figured like only music nerds would be watching this sequence. And you know, like making metal and stuff like that. But I'm glad somebody is actually enjoying this. So cool. All right, so we're to our double tracked riff. All right, now we get into the Flying Battery part of the song. I think I have a reference from when I screwed around with this earlier in the year. I think I did something a little bit different. Okay, there we go. Now I know what I'm doing. Let's do it. That's it again. I got a little bit behind there. Oh shit, I wasn't even recording. I need to check my tuning anyway. So I feel like some of my power chords are getting a little wacky. William said, that makes sense. Yeah, many metal drummers who aren't involved with songwriting feel your pain. Oh, yeah. I try to be very sensitive about drummers when I'm writing my drum parts. I've been around drummers like my whole life. And I've always loved the drums, and I've always tried to be very attentive about how drums are like played or composed. So when I'm writing drum parts, I try to make sure that they're physically possible. And even when I do like weird shit, like some of my drum solos and stuff, like it's not like the drummer's just playing with 3 arms. I still try to retain like I still try to think about like where the drummer's arms would be on like a normally set up drum set. I think it's important because it's really easy to just like keep the hi-hat going while like a tom fill is going, and then obviously the drummer can't do that. And then when you try to get a drummer to play that, and you're used to the way it sounds, and it's like, well, it doesn't sound as good, right? So. That's not bad. Flying Battery Part B. Cool. Do that again. Wrong chord. I definitely changed this part, so I gotta go to my reference that I did earlier. That's a lot to remember. Alright, I'm have to split that in half. Yep. See that in half. You guys might be noticing that I'm tapping the strings before I start the riff, and that just helps like getting timing when you start recording, like when you get onto the riff. Sometimes you just need like a little bit of momentum to kind of get going, especially on like a faster riff, and it just helps you time it better. Like if you're actually like punching in, like starting like right on the beginning of a bar. Let me make sure I got that first part right. Cool. Yeah, each one of these are different, so I'm just not gonna bother with the short-term memory here. I'll split in half. I keep it there. Cool. Fuck. That's wrong. Pretty sure it just does the same thing as the last time I repeated in this next section. Time. All right, fast 16th notes. This is the legendary Chris Feener guitar solo. Still the same one from 12 years ago. Chris Feener is a good friend of mine, an unbelievable guitar player, and he was 12 years ago, and he still just like blows my mind every time. So, got a fast 16th riff here. sometimes sounds good when it's just by itself, but when you start like tracking with other guitars, then it's like, oh, I wasn't as tight as I thought I was. So we'll see. We'll see how that went. Riffs tire out your hand real quickly. And once again, I'm like on a riff like that, I'm kind of like starting the momentum going so that I hit the downbeat just right. There are a couple of things I'm going to in there that didn't go as well as I thought, but I'll probably just do that when I do the quad tracking. So let's move on, do the next riff. Oh yeah, this one's weird. Oh man. I think. Oh, yeah, it is definitely a 2. Alright, let's try it. I didn't think I was going to make it through that one. Yep, fuck that one up. I was pretty comfortable with that up until that point. Listen. I'll live with it for now. For the sake of keeping things going. Oh God, yeah. Where are these chords? So weird. Why the hell would I write it like that? Let's see. Okay, then it goes to 16ths. All right. Right, 16ths. Maybe. Do not remember what those chords are. That's right. It's normal James Bondiness. Alright, this next riff's gonna be a bitch. Cool. All right, so looks like I didn't even do the next riff on the when I messed around a year ago. Yeah. I probably should have done this riff like right at the beginning when I had more. Not after I've been playing like an hour of fast metal riffs. Probably should have done this one like first. There are two ways you can do the picking on it. I might do that, actually. Seems to feel more comfortable. Ugh, gross. God damn. Yeah, this riff is hard. I might have to like stiff arm it. just going to leave it. I'm going to have to just come back and do that another day. But for you guys, I'll just leave it. Oh, my hand. It's already like about to crap out. God. Big fails. Giant fails right now. Oh my God. We're just going to punch it in, probably. Nope. Jesus. God damn. This is really bad. This is really bad right now. Can't believe my arm's crapping out. I haven't even been playing guitar that long. It's just a really friggin'... I'm trying to get it just real tight. Real tight here. One riff at a time. Definitely noticed the garbage less in the mix. But we're just gonna do the next riff. Good old Jeff Loomis tritones. Connor says, guitar skills are inversely proportional to how close your finger is to hitting record. Yeah, I probably should give myself a little bit more lead in. Sometimes, though, if you have too much lead in, you actually psych yourself out. So sometimes you just gotta like force yourself to get through it, so you're not like thinking too much. But you know, whatever. Whoop. Oh, yeah. Rehearse it, yeah. Rehearsing the riff like perfectly, and then you hit record, and your hands just like, no, we're not gonna do it. It's just like, yeah. Red light syndrome is very real. All right. Metal as fuck. Okay, so while next I'm going to do some bass, since I have those down, you guys can just listen to what we got while I go get my bass and tune it up.
Franklin James.
right. Here comes the bass. So we have my old bass track here. So I did mess around with new bass tracks earlier in the year again. Just a heads up, by the way. This bass tone right here is not what I'm going to be recording. I'm actually just recording the bass dry, like totally dry, so that I can like compress it and put a different distortion on it. So this is just, it's compressed and distorted right now. Just so I have something to perform with, basically. Just make it feel better, but I will be tweaking around with the bass settings after I record a little bit. All right. Let's check it out. So I was going to remind myself of what I did 10 years ago. Bass 2020. Let's make sure I got the signal here. Cool. Whoops. Nope. Bad start. Let's do it again. One more time. I'm really picky about, because obviously on bass you can play different notes in different positions, but they all sound a little bit different. Like I'll have different tones, and I did not do it the way I wanted to the first time. There we go. That. Ooh, that's a bit much distortion right there. Let's take that down. D minor at 2 asks, the part you couldn't get correct, could you just copy and paste, or is there a reason you wouldn't do that? I could have, probably. I probably could have. But sometimes basically sometimes I just get in a groove of just doing the recording, right? And so it's almost like a sudden change of gear for me. I don't know. I could have, basically, is really the answer. But I don't like copying and pasting everything, even if it's like the same section. Sometimes if I'm recording instruments, I just feel like doing it again. I just feel like it. This is really the answer. I don't even know if I got that bass line right, but I think it's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. I hope I can remember all that. Don't do fewer B strings there. All right, let's try it. Bass and okay, I probably want to match that little guitar riff in there. There's one thing in the middle I wanted to catch too. Yeah, I just kind of missed a little bit of a note there. Yep, say that again. Yeah, I wanted to do the in there as well. That's not in the old track, but I thought it'd probably fit better. Okay, it's probably just the same thing. All right. It was pretty good with that. Brian PSO asks, "Yo, Tony, my friend is asking if you can make the lights go with the music during the recording." I can actually, yes. I was going to debut that on Thursday, which I should probably take some time and self-promote. Thursdays, I do stream theater, live streaming concerts, and I was going to debut my music synced lights on Thursday, but because there has been a request, screw it, I'm going to do it now. The only issue is that I have not yet. I need to buy a license for this software for it to work. It takes 30-second breaks. It's a demo version. So, hold on a sec. Let's see if it's going. I will need to adjust the lights, actually. So basically, I can have it set to. I'll just hold on. I need to adjust a couple things on the lights real quick. All right, for those of you familiar with lighting, I have to set those to DMX mode in order to get them to do that. All right, let's see if this. There we go. So we have bass synced lights now. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. At least it's something. But the problem is it's the demo version, and it's just going to be... I will buy the full license before Thursday, but it does cool off for 30 seconds, and then you have to hit continue for it to continue. So that's going to be the only thing. I might switch a couple of those back to the pulse so that there's still some in there, but let's keep trucking. I need to review that part because that's a tough part. It's the original Flying Battery bass line. Yeah. I should do it there. All right, let's try it. Messed that one. Let's do that one again. Hey, Laura Lewis, thanks for showing up. Sundays are my audio nerdy production stuff days, so if you guys want to learn a little bit about music recording and stuff. By the way, I don't do only metal. I have a whole bunch of like funk and jazz remixes as well that I'm going to be doing during these as well. But I'll probably do these like every Sunday or so, just for like an hour or two. Yeah, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me anyway. Feel like now is just a better time than ever. Just keep making more music for people and just entertain people, make them feel better, kind of get their minds off of the state of the world right now, because it kind of sucks. But at least we can all enjoy a little music. All right, Flying Battery. Yeah. It's really hard to go from and then like 2 fingers on the low B string there, so I might just have to punch that in. Check my tuning. Might actually need an intonation setup. I'm actually pretty much there. But again, especially when it comes to rock, you want to be very conscientious about where you're putting the note, right? Because you have multiple spots on the instrument where you can put it. So there's a difference between that sound and that sound, especially when you have distortion on, right? It's like because the string is so much thicker and it has a lot fewer upper harmonics, then that's going to affect your mix. And so I find a lot of time when I'm doing rock, I'm really kind of playing down in the first position, but like funk and stuff like that is completely the opposite. Now, sometimes you actually really just kind of want to go up here and just kind of play up there because it's you can control your tone that way, where you're depending on where you're putting your hand. And it's the same thing for guitar, like rhythm guitar especially, where you're putting that, doing like a little. Oh man, my volume pot needs to be cleaned. Right, if you're doing like something funky on the guitar like that, it has all sorts of different sounds just depending on where you put it. So those of you recording at home might want to think about that when you're recording that stuff. You're recording some funk. Yeah, here we go. Ah, balls. Oh yeah, I was gonna punch that in. Whoop. Wrong note. Wasn't paying attention. Was busy reading the chat. Let's just do it again. God, why do I keep doing that? Jesus, I'm just starting from halfway through. Cool. Flick is here. Flick showed up. What's up, buddy? Matt asks, I always end up, or what frequencies do you typically try and slot your bass sound into metal? It really depends. After I'm done tracking, I'll show you what I tend to do for mixing guitars with metal. I'm just gonna tracking done first. Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna change that one. I think I just keep it on the root here. Yeah, change that. Change that. There we go. All right, did I do a fill in the original? Yeah. Yup, I did. Oh, I think I changed that too in the original. Ah, yes. Yeah, something like that. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Here we go. I'm just fucking around with fills when I record the original. See what happens. Boo! Just generic blues shit. Ass again. Oh, that's fast. Jesus. I have to replace that last one. Let's do something like that. Oh yeah, and then a little behind the beat there. Jesus Christ. Did I change that? I think I did. Connor asks, can you set the pitch of the click? You can, I think, but I've never changed it. And it's funny because it's like, I am so used to the Cubase click, like I'm just numb to it. So like there'll be times where I'm like listening to an entire song and the click track's still on. I just forget about it. So it's probably very annoying to you guys, but I definitely need it. Whoops. Last riff. Oh my god, what am I doing here? Yep. What do I think I am? Mudvayne? Alright, what the fuck am I doing? Easy enough. Do it again. We'll go with that. All right, bass and rhythm guitars are done. You guys probably don't want to see me do lead guitars because it's even worse. But and besides the stream, we're already at like an hour and a half, so I think that's probably a good time. But Glacier 9, also known as Matt, who recorded the original guitar solo on Sonic Gargoyles with Garden Marbles, another vintage T-Dick classic, asks about frequency slotting and bass settings and stuff like that. And for me, it just depends, I think, on what kind of guitar tone I'm using. What the guitar tone that you're using is going to determine how you're going to fit in the bass. But bass distortion is really going to be your best tool for kind of getting your bass to fit in with the guitars. Now, to my ears right now, this tone is a good start. I think it's a little trebly. I kept hearing a whole bunch of really high-end stuff kind of leaking out. Oh, it might be because of this. Why the hell am I doing that? Yeah, there we go. I kept hearing that, and that sounds bad. But really, yeah, when you're mixing metal, so check it out. So this is what this distortion track is doing with the bass. Nine-day difference. And so the other things to keep in mind when you're trying to mix them together, I believe, yes, I actually take out a lot of the sub frequencies of the bass. And the reason I do that, A, is because I kind of want the kick to take care of that. And I've noticed actually if I don't low cut or high pass, whatever you want to call it, the sub frequencies in the bass guitar, it actually screws around with that distortion track a little bit. Now, the other thing about the distortion track is before I run it through this bass distortion amplifier, you know, it's actually just the built-in Cubase thing. I have like a DI driver. I had an overdrive pedal. I turned that off. Before I run it through that bass amp simulator, I rolled off like a lot of pretty much all the low end and most of the low mids, because if you can hear why. Right, you can hear as I start to bring that high pass in, it just kind of reaches this point where it gets a bit clearer. And distortion with really low frequencies can be kind of hard to handle, and I find it's actually a lot easier to just deal with the low end of the bass, almost like as a separate entity. And there are a lot of like bass distortion pedals that have been set up that way. Like the Dark Glass stuff is kind of set up that way, where you have like different frequency bands that you can affect on the bass guitar. And then like Billy Sheehan's distortion pedal has a dry signal and a wet signal, where yeah, you can basically blend just like normal, no distortion bass, like this, or like blend and then blend this distortion in. And I also have Doug Pinnick's Tech 21, I think, pedal. And it's set up the exact same way, right? You have fat low end that's processed independently from the distortion. And that's the best way to make the bass clear, because distortion guitars, obviously, they're very broadband. They really go from, like 60 hertz at least up until, 16K. And so they eat up so much room, and the bass just gets devoured. Like a lot of early metal recordings, before they start distorting bass a lot more, bass is just buried. That's why I like the joke about metal where you can't hear the bass. That's where it comes from. So now within, probably more than the new millennium, a lot of European producers have been distorting bass, even in like the early 2000s with like Children of Bodom and stuff like that, like Nightwish, those sort of bands. So they've been doing that for a while, and it's really kind of caught on. And Gent is all about that, right? That's really distorted, clanky bass. It does all the heavy lifting in Gent music. But yeah, so but again, like one thing to emphasize when you're doing distortion on bass is you pretty much want to take out like all of your fundamental frequencies and like your first octave harmonics, technically. But again, that sounds really bad to me. There's like way too much low information here. So, and it's hard to handle. It's hard to mix with that when you have distortion on that low end. So I find it easier. Just wait till I hear it. There we go. Right? Oh, that might have been distortion on my volume knob. Ugh, I have to record that. But yeah. So find like your mid range and up. And then I never like these really high frequencies on the bass guitar. I always get rid of that shit. You can even see it. Like if I brought this back down, you can see when I play that, there's already a lot of energy, and there's a lot of information in those low frequencies. So what you're doing, you can see like the volume level of these mid-range and high mid-range frequencies are quite a bit lower, right? Like -6, -3. and they take a downward slope. So what you're doing is you're just removing all the stuff that's already there that has a lot of energy, and you're affecting this weaker stuff. And so saturation is kind of the best way to do that, because saturation and distortion add more harmonics to make it sound richer, and also kind of decrease the dynamic range, so you can bring it up. Like, you can't just do it by just boosting the crap out of the mid range. It doesn't work the same way. So saturation is like a really good tool, because it does like a number of things, especially if you only put saturation on certain bands, right? Just focusing on like mid range, you can kind of saturate that, and it compresses, like saturation again compresses it and just makes it sound fuller and clearer. So I love saturation. All right, cool. So this is probably definitely a long enough stream. And I'll probably be doing these maybe every Sunday. I don't know what I want to do next. Again, I have like a bunch of stuff like rock and metal and blah, blah, blah. But Flick says, never long enough. Well, I do have other stuff to do. So, sorry. But I'm going to throw on my master. Oop, I shouldn't have done it. I keep forgetting my mastering settings. I actually added a ton of latency, so I can't use my microphone. But I will play from the beginning what we have. Double track guitars and new bass. Also new drums. I already did that. And then I'll probably be back next Sunday remixing probably something different. Because I got probably like 30 to 40 remixes from the last decade that I'm looking at just souping up and fixing up. So yeah, I'm just going to play from the beginning, and hope you guys enjoy, and just, come back again next week, probably about this time. I haven't really determined exactly what time I want to do Sundays, but Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, I do stream theater. This week, I'm actually going to be doing some funk stuff, a bunch of funk music, because I love funky bass, so check that out at this channel, or on my Twitch stream and my YouTube. As long as it stays online, and they've been taken down by content ID bots before, so Twitch seems to have better luck with that. But subscribe, blah blah blah, follow me, yada yada. Now enjoy the current incarnation of Bond's batteries.
James.
Sorry, I said I was going to put the mastering on. Let me make it sound a little better. Word. So lead guitars are still the same as they were 10 years ago. I obviously got to do those, but I have till the rest of the year to do it. Connor asked me, did I do the solo? No, I did not. I wish I was that awesome. But that was Chris Feener, shredder extraordinaire. Actually, I should mention, it was Chris Feener that actually inspired me to do this arrangement, because it was like, God, 2005 or 2006 or something like that. He put out like an arrangement of, basically just kind of like the Bond theme plus the some of the melodies from the Damn level number 1 in GoldenEye for N64, like that is from the Damn level. So that's why I credit this not just to like 007, but to GoldenEye. So Chris kind of did that, so I yanked that, and then I put Flying Battery on top of it, because I've been playing Sonic and Knuckles for like my whole life. It's one of my favorite games ever, but as we all know, bring up Omnisphere here real quick. If you guys know the original song Flying Battery from Sonic and Knuckles, it's got like the whoop. and my drums enabled at the same time. Still enabled. Monitor track. Okay, so like because Flying Battery's got like the whole, it's got that whole chord progression in it. So that's obviously James Bond. So and they're the same key. So I just, why not? Yeah, so that's basically the one little musical element that's just like, all right, I gotta put these together. Cool. All right, that is all for today. Thanks everybody for hanging out with me. Pretty much like all my gigs are canceled for 2020, at least the way. Hopefully some of them will remain, but the way things are going are just kind of like, ooh, I don't know. Yeah, it does similar. That does sound similar. I'll play the original just for fun. I'll play the original Flying Battery if you guys don't know it. Got caps lock on. Oh, I lied. Flying Battery is actually in the key A, not B. So they're not the same key. But I made them the same key. Yeah, so there you go. That's why it's just like, just put them together, just make a good old mashup out of it. Yeah, Sonic 3 and Knuckles is my most favorite game of all time. Like the soundtrack, still listening to it, I'm just like, God, the composition is amazing. And it's like the way it's mostly the Sega Sound team. I know like Michael Jackson is credited for a lot of it, but he and his team only did like Ice Cap and Carnival and Launch Base, and then like some of the original Sonic 3 stuff. But the rest of those songs are mostly the Sega Sound team, which are Japanese composers. You can kind of tell by the composition that it's like Japanese composers get a little bit more nerdy with their music theory and stuff like that. But like I remember going through the original like Genesis files, and with whatever they're like that chip amp that you can like add into Winamp, you can like mute different channels for to kind of listen to what they're doing. And like what they're doing is like really creative, how they're like how they're splitting the instruments with the different sounds and everything. It's just like whoever programmed that in, probably just like a sound team, it's like one of the most like luscious. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's they're very the arrangements in Sonic 3 and Knuckles are very lush. They're very thick, and they're programmed very well for as limited as the 2612 sound chip was. Anyway, all right. See you guys Thursday. I'm playing a bunch of funk bass at 8 p.m. Eastern. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc., etc. Subscribe to YouTube and Twitch if you haven't already. And so hope you guys have a good rest of your day.